Hey, what's up, guys? BC Amplified. This is future BC coming at you. I just filmed a very long recording for you guys where I give my... you're going to know exactly where BC stands on the state of professional wrestling today. This is a discussion that needs to be had, what needs to seriously be changed, like right now. And you might be shocked, the two areas that I would start with. But why wrestling seems like it's been on its deathbed, why it seems like it has no pulse, and what we can all do to try to resurrect it. It's a long discussion. I talk about a few other things as well. But at the conclusion of the recording, I got some new information on William Regal's status. Now, I did talk about William Regal a little bit at the beginning of this video. I didn't want to say too much because I was unsure of the actual facts, because we were getting a lot of mixed reports. He's definitely out. He's going to WWE. No, those are all lies. He's staying with AEW. Well, guys, what we have is confirmation by Tony Khan himself. Tony Khan recently gave us the following information. This was on a media call for Final Battle, for this Saturday's Ring of Honor Final Battle. And Tony Khan was asked about the status of William Regal. It's been a hot topic in the pro wrestling world. It seems twice he's been written off. Mox telling him to go away, never look back, and then they decide to bring him back and then get turned on by MJF. So Tony Khan has confirmed that William Regal will be leaving AEW after the holidays, and he will be returning to WWE. Regal had informed Khan that he really wants to work more with his son, who's down in NXT, Charlie Dempsey. So, I mean, that's honorable, not just help out the kids of NXT, but his legit own kid. That makes sense. And it's really cool that Tony Khan is going to honor that. I don't, as you're about to hear, because I've talked about this a little bit in this recording, I'm not totally sure that that's the smartest decision. I would at least, you don't want to keep somebody who doesn't want to be there. That's like holding somebody, that's like holding a prisoner, man. If they don't want to be there and they're as highly respected like William Regal, then you got to come to some type of ideal exit. I understand. But right now, where Tony Khan has made him a focal point in the biggest storyline in the company with MJF and Mox, and at a time where they're starting to lose viewers again, they can't even crack the 900,000 mark the past couple of weeks, and he's going to just go and join his good buddy 3H's. I mean, I would have at least kept that contract rolling through the spring. But, so I mentioned that in the upcoming recording, but it looks like that they had a long discussion, and Tony Khan is letting him out right after the holidays. The initial report we got is that William Regal's contract ends spring of 2023, which would make sense. So to let him out for the fresh start of 2023, again, that's respectable because it's William Regal. That's not the smartest business decision, but Tony Khan has put to bed any rumors or any doubt. William Regal going back to WWE, it's confirmed, but he will remain with AEW through December, through the holidays. Pick up with World Wrestling Entertainment beginning of January. I just think it's odd timing. So anyway, future BC clarifying something, because when we talk about William Regal coming up, I didn't want to say too much because we didn't have these facts. After recording, these facts came out. Here we are. All right. We're going to go to the opening signature, and then you're going to get a full throttle vidcast. BC. Oh, I'm bringing it to you guys in this one, man. Get your beverage, get your coffee or a cold drink, kick your feet up, or put in the earbuds, listen to this as a podcast, and go about your shopping, go about your jog, go about your workout. Maybe you just want to play video games and listen to BC. Whatever the fuck. This is going to be one you ain't going to want to miss, man. There's a lot of truth that needs to be spoken, and it needs to start right now. It needed to start yesterday, last month, last year, 5 years ago. You know what's funny? It's the same truth I've been speaking for 5+ years since I've had this channel. Get ready, guys. This is going to be a good one. My amplified unit, Red Team, go! My amplified unit, top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, salute. In just a little bit, we're going to talk the professional wrestling world, the state of pro wrestling. Currently, it has been on life support for many years. Many fans now questioning, is it time to pull the plug? Can pro wrestling be saved? Are those that are saying, no, it's done? Are they being overdramatic? Are those that are saying, no, it can easily be revived? Are they being realistic? Coming off the heels of one of the worst weeks in recent memory for all of pro wrestling. From Raw last week, somehow, commercial-free the first hour, the post-War Game Survivor Series show, the return of Becky Lynch to Raw, all of these things sitting in their lap, and they couldn't hit the projected 1.8 low bare minimum. They instead dipped into the 1.6s, and then here we are this week with Monday Night Raw dipping into the low 1.5s. Dynamite couldn't even hit 900,000 for the second consecutive week. Rampage hits a new low at just over 350,000 viewers. SmackDown switches over to FS1 for 1 week. They couldn't even pull the 1.2 projected number. They fell to barely 900,000 viewers for SmackDown. Across the board, there seems to be a mass exodus of pro wrestling fans leaving pro wrestling finally. A lot of the tried and trues, a lot of the fans that tuned in out of habit and hope, because the wrestling product has been so bad over the years. But a lot of us, we continue to watch out of habit and hope. Habit because it's what we've done since we were little fans, little BCs, little AMP unit members. It's what we did. We grew up watching this, so it's out of habit. Every Monday night, we were programmed to tune in at 9 or 8 p.m. Eastern time, wherever you are in the world. And hope, right? Habit and hope. Hoping that it gets better. Hoping that we get that feeling that we've had over the decades. The feeling we had in those 80s, if you were around back then. The 90s for sure. Early 2000s, no doubt. And then from 2010 on, it just slowly started to dwindle. And late last night, I put out a video about the Raw rating. And I'm talking, I went head-to-head with NXT. NXT was already on. The video went up after 8 p.m. Eastern time. And still, several thousand of you guys were already able to catch that. And a lot of great responses to that. You guys really enjoyed that vid and just the discussion on the numbers. And what I would like to do coming up in this video in just a few minutes is really continue that discussion. Like the state of wrestling. Can it even be saved? And what are the basic fundamentals that need to be implemented right now, as of yesterday? What needs to be instituted? You guys may be shocked where I would start off. What needs to change from the jump before I even get to the formatting issues? How the formula is so redundant. Before I get to any of that, there's two major problems that need to be solved before we can even get pro wrestling back on track. And that's what I would like to discuss coming up. But pro wrestling has just seen its worst week this past week in recent memory across the board. And it's really cool. It sucks that we've gotten to this point, but it's really cool that the general response that I've seen over the last 24 hours, if even, since the numbers came out, so just under 24 hours, is that people are finally starting to wake up and say, hey, this is a problem. Like, these shows are not as good as they should be. Most of us know they're not even good. And it's even the people that were saying, like, people like BC are just so negative. We're the ones that are ruining pro wrestling because we're never happy. We're never enjoying the product. And those people are starting to say, well, damn, people like BC were actually right. He called that they were going to hit 1.5s over a year ago. 2 years ago, he said the trajectory was losing 250 to 300,000 every year for the last 5 to 6 years. Well, we're slowly going that way, right? I mean, at this trajectory, by the end of 2023, it's not out of the realm that you won't be at the 1.2s, 1.3s. And then you're at the high end of what AEW has already pulled in. And just its first couple of years, they already pulled in 1.2 to 1.4s. Something like that. So now you're talking about Raw that's been established for decades is now fucking around where AEW has already been. I mean, now people are starting to wake up. That's the coolest thing in this, man. Because BC's used to taking heat, right? For the 5 years plus that I've had this channel, I've been called the asshole, the negative guy. He's the mean one on YouTube. He's never happy. He's the evil podcaster. But now people are finally waking up and going, no, he just wants a better product. He wants to save professional wrestling, or at least help. That's what this channel's always been about. When there's really good, I'm praising the shit. I do live streams sometimes with the pay-per-views, and you guys see, man, I'll mark out when good shit's happening. But it's just not enough. And there's so much wrong, and it has to be resurrected now. Everything has to be... We have to save pro wrestling at this point. There's no over-dramaticism here, guys. There's no over-embellishing the problems that are in pro wrestling right now, and it has to change. It had to change yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago plus. It needs to change because we cannot continue on this path where it seems like the wrestlers are going through the motions and the fans are going through the same emotions. No emotion attached to these products. No emotion attached to these shows. None at all. We fake it. What am I talking about? I'm going to get to that in this very video because there's a lot to talk about. The state of pro wrestling and if it can even be saved. And if so, how? BC actually has some stunning answers to those questions. That'll be coming up. Also, I would like to talk about and congratulate a certain tag team, right? It's one of those things where you top a list that's kind of, it's opinionated, right? There's a lot of people throwing different variations of how they came to a conclusion to top their list. Sometimes I look at these lists and I question how can you fathom some of these decisions? Some of the people that either make the list or don't make the list. But in this instance, it happens to be one of my favorite tag teams in the world, and it caused a little bit of controversy. A lot of people questioning why another certain tag team was not named number one. I want to talk about that coming up as well. But a few quick fire hits, if you don't mind. There's a couple of things that I need to discuss before I get to those main topics. Number one, to Barry Windham and his family. Much love, strength, support, and prayers over your way. Barry Windham, from what I know, and I just learned really about this late last night. I don't have all the details, but from what I know, he was going through the Atlanta airport, I believe, and he suffered a massive heart attack. He was sent to the ICU where there was a major procedure that was done to save his life. And as of the recording of this video, he is still with us, thankfully. I have not heard any dire news or anything that I do not want to talk about. I haven't heard anything like that, thankfully. He is still with us, hopefully on the rebound. It's going to be a long recovery, if so, from something like that. But as long as he is still with us, knows that that the support, the love, the prayers, the strength is all being sent to Barry Windham and his family, then that's all we can do, man. So prayer emojis for sure. Much love and respect. Of course, Barry Windham, guys, is the uncle to Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda. A lot of people were speculating that Uncle Howdy is actually a portrayal of the 62-year-old Barry Windham, his uncle, his actual uncle. So whether there's an actual... I always thought when I heard of Uncle Howdy, I immediately thought of Barry Windham. And if you guys are wondering how... It's a big wrestling family. If you're wondering how that connects, basically, Mike Rotunda, who you guys may know as IRS... That's who I grew up with. IRS, Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, Money Incorporated. Your favorite tax associate. Oh, man. Every time tax season would come up, there's IRS reminding you to do your taxes or else. I don't know why I brought up those horrific memories, right? You'd be watching TV back in the day. Ma Dukes would walk behind you. IRS is reminding everyone to do their taxes. Ma Dukes yells out, "Oh, shit." Anyway... Mike Rotunda married Stephanie Rotunda, who was Stephanie Windham at the time. And Stephanie's father was Black Jack Mulligan. Of course, a legend in the wrestling world. So that was Stephanie's father, Black Jack Mulligan. And Stephanie's brother was Barry Windham, is Barry Windham. So Stephanie and IRS, Mike Rotunda, get married. They have a kid named Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt, his uncle, is Barry Windham. So that's how it's all. I hope you guys kept it. It's a family web tree, man. I know it's confusing. Bottom line is Bray Wyatt's father is IRS Mike Rotunda. Mike Rotunda's brother-in-law is Barry Windham. And father-in-law is Black Jack Mulligan. So, damn. IRS really married into a huge, a badass wrestling family. And Bray Wyatt, that's pretty much all he really knew. You know, it's no wonder the dude's a genius for professional wrestling. So anyway, it's a little bit of family tree dynamics for you, but much love and support. Respect, prayers over to Barry Windham. This is a dude who I said in yesterday's video, man, I always watched it in the old WCW, and there was a connection. And I'm talking way before Nitro days, guys. When I say WC, there's a lot of younger fans. When I say WCW, they only know about like the Nitro era 1996, maybe the 2000-ish, whenever, that whole several years. No, I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s. Surfer Sting, Big Van Vader, Cactus Jack, those days. Barry Windham, the work he did with the Four Horsemen, and just him and Ric Flair in their epic contests. For a big dude, Barry Windham flew around that ring, had such skill, finesse, such an aura and a presence. There was always a connection with Barry Windham. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to take a few minutes and just let the whole family know that there's a GoFundMe for Barry's expenses. There's a GoFundMe page set up. You can learn more about that and the history of Barry Windham. The heart attack that there's a detailed account of what happened, and it's just that's all set up. So if you want to contribute to helping a legend in this business, Barry Windham, I'm sure the family would be much appreciated. So anyway, that's for Barry. I wanted to spend some minutes on that for sure, and we hope, I was going to say speedy recovery. You know what? There's no speedy with something like this. Just a recovery, and we will all help him along the way. Now, from something sad like that to a little bit of a celebration, right? Or a lot of a celebration, especially if you're Renee Paquette and the family of Mox. Jon Moxley, AEW superstar, former world champion Jon Moxley turns 37 years old today. It's Mox's birthday. That's why I say it's not a little bit of a celebration. It's a big celebration. 37. Inching his way ever so closely to that 40-year mark, man. Mox is like, don't you even say that. So, happy birthday to Mox. So we go from the prayer emojis to celebration for Mox, man. Pretty cool. Also, I want to give a shout out to another AEW superstar. Or star. Wrestler. Sorry, in AEW call them wrestlers. Darby Allin. Man, he posted something really funny recently. He was at like one of those big box stores, like a Target or a Walmart. Maybe it was a Costco, who knows. But Darby Allin came across one of his action figures, and he signed it. And then he went on social, and he posted the exact location to let people know that there's a signed autograph? Yeah, right? An autographed toy. His toy, man. His action figure. It's a signed action figure at this big box store, at that location. You better hurry up and grab it. How cool is that, man? Could you imagine you're walking down the aisle and you see this signature on this and you're like, somebody fucking wrote the dude's name. Are you serious? Little do they know, that's the real signature, man. Could you imagine? I don't know why wrestlers didn't do that in the right. Big E's just going by. Big E's fucking jotting his name down, man. If I was a wrestler or somebody in the public eye like that, I'd be fucking signing if I got a toy, I'm signing that shit. I'm going to make people wonder if that's real or not, right? They'll be going to their local pawn shops because pawn shops can like see if it's a real signature. They have ways. They have people that know that. They fucking be like, what the fuck? That's a real Big E. That's a real Kofi Kingston, bro. That Bobby Lashley is legit. Anyway, Darby Allin, man, that got a pop from BC. That was pretty funny. What else before I hit the big stories? William Regal, real quick. William Regal, right? BC, why haven't you responded about the William Regal news? Because I don't know, really, man. Okay, he's been written off. It looked like the first time when Mox told him to run and never look back. It looked like he was written off TV, maybe out of AEW. Then he comes back a week or two later, and he sets up the MJF turn, and then he's written off. It's almost like a WWE thing. If this is legit William Regal leaving to go rejoin 3H's and WWE, okay. But it's like when WWE would botch how to exit somebody, and they come up with a way, and it looks like they're gone, and then WWE changes their mind, brings them back, and tries a different way. I like the MJF turn on him, and I thought it was phenomenally done, but it makes Mox look like a little bit of a tool. Leave, don't ever look back. Don't even look back. And then he comes right back, because he knows Mox like brawled his way out of the arena earlier in the night with, I believe, Hangman Page. I don't know. So that was odd to me. And then we hear the reports that he's definitely out of AEW. He's already he's inking a deal with WWE. Now, the problem with that is the last I heard, his legit deal ends early 2023 spring. So Tony Khan would be an absolute fool. I mean, I always say you don't want to keep somebody there that doesn't want to be there. That's like basically just holding a prisoner hostage at this point, Like if I know they signed a contract, but if they really don't want to be there, dude, you're not a prison. Come to terms, right? Maybe they did. But if you're Tony Khan, that's too big of a loss. William Regal is too clutch, especially right now, and you've been giving this guy so much TV time. He's been involved in one of your biggest storylines with Mox and MJF, and even before that with the BCC, with the Combat Club. I mean, to just let him go like that, I mean, I doubt Regal was that miserable. We heard stories he wasn't that happy because AEW talent wasn't exactly looking or taking his advice like Regal thought they would. We don't know if those are true stories or not. But I doubt he was that happy that he wanted out. He couldn't wait till spring, which is what we are hearing when his contract was up. I know deep down he probably does want to rejoin his buddy, 3H's, and he misses his old NXT position. And you'd like to be helping out Michael Hicknam-Botnam, Shawn Michaels, down in NXT Orlando, Florida. But Tony Khan would just be a fool not to just wait this out till spring or, make him a little bit happier. Like, what more can we do? Can you just hold it out? Right now is not the time to be losing you to 3H's. It's odd to me. And then we hear like, no, those stories are false anyway. The dude's not inking anything with WWE. He's not even out of AEW. So now we're hearing that those initial reports were false. So everybody that reported on that, they may end up looking like a fool anyway. So BC just doesn't know, man. It's odd to me. If Tony Khan loses William Regal before the spring of 2023, that is a fucking horrible botch by Tony Khan business-wise. Would I be surprised that Regal wants out to go back to 3H's? Of course not. Of course not. I think we all knew like that's where he'd rather be. But William Regal is an honorable dude, man. Deep down, I know he's the villain, but he's a gentleman villain, an honest villain. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't know what to think right now. I'm going to find out more information, and we'll see how the chips lie, man. But I just don't see how he can just get out of his AEW deal like that and already start negotiations with WWE, which is what we're hearing, unless Khan has so much respect for Regal that he's just like, dude, if you ain't happy at all here, I'm just going to let you do you. Much love. In which case, damn, he just made him the focal point of the biggest storyline in AEW. So again, I just think it's a big botch by Tony Khan either which way. That's my thoughts on William Regal. The next time I say anything about it, we're going to have much more factual content that we can really dive into. Now, for one of the big stories, before I get into the state of pro wrestling, man, I want to talk about the PWI 500. No, that's the PWI. That's their singles competition list, the 500. They used to have the PWI top 50 tag team list. Now it's 100. The top 100 teams in all of pro wrestling. Now, I always look at these lists as subjective, right? Very opinionated. A bunch of minds coming together, sometimes clueless, and they put together this list that baffles us. Now, this list may still baffle you, but for the top tag teams, according to the PWI for 2022, the Usos have topped the list at number 1. Now, you guys know a little bit of bias here. I have 2 favorite tag teams in the world. They are the Usos and they are them boys, the Briscoe brothers. It's just, they kind of draw BC a little bit more than other tag teams. So of course, I'm going to celebrate this. You know, a lot of times I knock these lists because I'm baffled. This is one of those times where I say they got it right. The Usos have absolutely dominated the pro wrestling world in terms of tag teams. Of course, I wish it was better. Of course, I wish WWE had an existent tag division for them to play in. Of course, I would not have them lose all these singles matches all the time or be in non-factored matchups, right? Nonsensical matchups. Of course, there's so much I would change. But let's not act like they didn't have the big WrestleMania victory. I believe that was Shinsuke and Boogs on the big stage. They're winning their match. SummerSlam, I believe they're beating who? Street Profits. So the big stage matchups, they showed up, showed out, retained their championships. They're over 500 days they've been tag champions. They unified the sons of bitches. They surpassed the New Day. So we can't act like these are not accolades that are just like, wow, that's happening. Now, the only ones in the realms that kind of got people up in arms was FTR, right? Like people are saying, nah, it should have been FTR. Look at the year they've had. FTR, man, the AAA tag, the ROH tag team, the IWJ. But guys, you gotta blame Tony Khan because FTR should have been booked more properly in AEW. Several months ago, they caught lightning in a bottle. I felt more than several months ago, but almost a year ago, they were catching lightning in a bottle, and they were really, man, right around that time too, when they were having great matches with dem boys. Not just because I'm biased with the Briscoe brothers, but they were having just crushing matches. And Tony Khan should have used that momentum. And instead, they were just involved in singles matches, 6-man tags, 8-man tags. FTR, as a legit 2-on-2 tag team, has not really had any momentum in the last several months. And I mean like half a year and more. So you can't blame anybody for kind of overlooking them on the biggest stage that they should have been showcased on, which was AEW. I'll give you guys some staggering statistics here, man. The last winning performance as a tag team for FTR on Dynamite, their flagship show, okay? Flagship show, and you can even say pay-per-view for that matter. Not including Battle of the Belts, because I believe that victory was on a Rampage. But a Dynamite and actual pay-per-view, the last winning tag team performance by FTR, you have to go back to April 6th when they defeated the Young Bucks. I believe that was on a Dynamite. So on a Dynamite or pay-per-view, the last winning 2-on-2 performance was over the Young Bucks in April 6th. That's basically WrestleMania week, guys. How long is that? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 9 months ago is the last time that any of us saw FTR win on Dynamite as a tag team. Not in a singles match, not in a 6-man, not in an 8-man, a 10-man, or just not showcased at all. A traditional 2-on-2 tag team match on their flagship show. Or pay-per-view for that matter. Not ROH, no, an AEW pay. Guys, you'd have to go back to April. 9 months ago was the last time you or me or any of us saw them win on a flagship show for AEW. April. A month later in May, they went to a no contest. They couldn't even beat Beretta and Romero. That was on May 25th. That was the 3-year anniversary of Dynamite. May 25th. And they went to a no contest. So they didn't even win that match, and that's why I say their last victory was April 6th as a tag team, for AEW anyway. And their last Dynamite appearance as a tag team was in a losing performance against Keith Lee and Swerve. That was back in October. You'd have to go back a couple months ago for their last 2-on-2 matchup on Dynamite, which they lost to Swerve and Lee. My point, guys, is that how you're showcased on television for the grandest promotion that you are a part of, which is AEW. No shade to New Japan Pro Wrestling or a future ROH that you're currently holding titles. But for AEW, how you're booked means everything. So I totally get it, guys. If there's FTR fans out there, AEW diehards that are like, no way, bullshit, I hear you. You make a great argument for everything they've done outside of AEW, even though ROH is a part of it. But for Dynamite and for AEW pay-per-views, not ROH, not any of that, not Forbidden Doors, AEW, how they've been booked matters, right? I mean, look at the response when the Usos won this son of a bitch. When the Usos took the top prize here, topping this list. Dem Boys, the Briscoe brothers, who I have so much respect for, one of my favorite tag teams in the world, they understand the importance of television, the importance of how you're booked on the grandest stage. Dem Boys went to social media and put this: imagine if we weren't banned from TV. Usos my ass. Hashtag Dem Boys. Obviously, they have respect for the Usos. They're just, they're saying, fuck that. We number one. But listen to what them boys said. Imagine if we weren't banned from TV. And they've had an incredible year. Top caliber matches with FTR. More than one. But they know their words. Imagine if we weren't banned from TV. They know that how you're booked on the grandest stages of them all, how you're booked on weekly television, greatly impacts where your standing is with everybody's opinion. Or how they come up with these lists. They know that. Them boys know that they need that TV time, man. Well, how Tony Khan used FTR in the past calendar year has been absolutely mind-boggling when they should have been booked as one of the top tag teams in the world for AEW on Wednesday nights. And we have to go back to April to find their last winning 2-on-2 performance. 9 months ago, basically a whole year. Nearly. That's not good, guys. You don't need BC to tell you that. Now, FTR did respond. Daniel Cash Wheeler took a little bit more of a high road. He says, congrats, Usos. We've been feeling Usy since 2019. And that's when they showed one of those little GIFs, whatever the fuck, of them, like, I don't know. It's one of those, silly WWE segments, man. They're up on the stage with the Usos, and they're screaming like fucking schoolgirls because like the Usos put like hot sauce in their fucking trunks or something. So something, I don't know. They're bouncing around like they got ants in their. I don't know. It's silly WWE writing. So Wheeler says, "Congrats, Usos. We've been feeling Usy since 2019." Dax is giving the Home Alone scream. Just silly, man. I'm telling you, this is one of those situations where FTR took off and actually got a better career outside of WWE. They saved themselves. I think everybody worked out fucking for the best, man. Usos went on to do what they're doing now. FTR went on to do what they're doing. But anyway, Wheeler says, congrats, we've been feeling Usy since 2019. Now, Dax took a little bit more of an aggressive road. Dax puts, did Paul Heyman write this issue? Because this shit full of lies. So Dax definitely thinks they're number one. You just got to... you got to take it with how they were booked. If you really don't like this list that the Usos are topping FTR, you do have to blame Tony Khan a lot, man. Tony Khan is just, I feel he botched FTR. I don't care if they hold 10 different sets of titles at one time. For AEW, especially their flagship Wednesday night program, FTR has been botched. You can talk about how great Dax's singles run has been lately. You could talk about how they put on banger six-mans. Traditional 2-on-2, they've been forgettable for AEW. I mean, half the time I forget they're even on the show, and that's fucking sad. So, I hear you, but I hope you understand that Tony needs to implement them better on Dynamite, on the flagship, in 2-on-2 appearances, man. And then we can look at them as fucking rocking the tag team world again, man. Kenny Omega was great, man. Kenny Omega sent some love over to the Usos. He puts well-earned. I'm sure pizza tonight is on fellow family member Sami Zayn. Congrats. So Kenny Omega showing that love. Sami Zayn responded and says, "You know it, my dog." So some love between Sami Zayn and Kenny Omega. I thought that was pretty cool. So I had to talk about that, man, and say much love and respect over to the Usos down from day one. Literally, for 2022, they the ones, all the rest the twos. And now we have to have a real discussion, man. Try not to take too long on it, but it's a discussion that needs to be had. We started it. We've been talking about this for 5 years now. Let's be honest, since I've had the channel, more than 5 years now. And we have to talk about it after yesterday's record low Monday Night Raw rating came out in the 1-2s for hour number 3, the lowest in show history. Wow. And that's under 3 H's. You know, I'm done saying it takes time. It's been 5 months for this dude, and we've seen very minimal. We've seen some people come back, and he doesn't even know how to use them all. It's too many people. He's coming in the same problem that Tony Khan had. Tony Khan brought in everybody. The ship started to fucking sink because it's too much weight. And before you know it, people had to start jumping off the fucking ship before the whole thing went down and they drowned. They saved themselves. Tony Khan had to kind of stop fucking hiring people for a while. Then he just started hiring more people again. And Triple H learned nothing because 3H just copies everybody anyway. He took fucking Dusty Rhodes' everything. He took Dusty Rhodes' War Games concept. He took Dusty Rhodes' NXT. That's all he does. He takes fucking Vince McMahon's established WWE. And there's no originality here. He had a few good years in NXT, and then when Tony Khan showed up with AEW, he fucking shit the bed. Literally had to be bed ready. I mean, he literally had a fucking heart issue after that. Tony Khan ran him into a fucking hospital bed. No joke. This dude, he tried to copy Tony Khan during the Wednesday Night War, if you will. When Tony Khan was putting up these pay-per-view style 2-hour events, here comes 3H's with his twist. His little in-your-houses and Halloween Havocs or whatever. And it didn't work. He tried to do the same things that he totally trashed Eric Bischoff back in the day for doing, right? Staying on later or going on earlier than Monday Night Raw, right? And they bashed Eric Bischoff back in the day when he was running WCW. Well, H started to do the same thing. He tried to go on a few minutes early, tried to stay on longer, 7 to 15 minutes for NXT. None of it worked, and he got his ass whooped by Tony Khan. So I don't even want to hear that the 3H's is going to save pro wrestling. I hope somebody does. I've been rooting the guy on. It's just the changes that have been made are not the changes that need to be made, right? You can bring back everybody in the world that Vince or Nick Khan or anybody under the sun got rid of. You can bring them back, but if it's too many people on the roster and you don't know what to do with them, you're only hurting yourself. And then you're bringing them back to crickets. Nobody fucking even, half the people had to remind themselves about Mia Yim. Now, I love Mia Yim, a lot of you guys, but a lot of casual fans and people that want to be excited when people return, there was no reason, and that's why you got the response for the Mia Yims or the Sarah Logans and so many others where they're coming back and there's not really any steam behind their return. Johnny Gargano is running around with a whistle. Dexter Lumis is playing poker with an axe. They don't really know what H doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just bringing everybody back. So the illusion is that I'm in full control. My people, per se, or how other people said his people got axed. So he wants to make it look like, no, they're all back now. But it's only hurting him. So, okay, people came back. Some people got their names back, right? Theory got to be an Austin Theory. Some other people probably. Who else? Who else got their name back? Some people got their name back. Not fucking Petey Dunne yet. He's still a butch. But some people were able to get their names back. And Nikki Cross is finally no longer a superhero. Or almost a superhero. And then other people had to get their name changed. Mia Yim is transitioning into a Meacham, Munchkin, whatever the fuck. Sarah Logan is now Van Halen, a rock band. I mean, so some people got their name back. Other people are getting their names changed. The 24/7 title belt went into the trash. That's good. But it's all these really minor things. Storyline-wise, the Usos, the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, feeling oozy. That's one of the top storylines right now. And the recent interview that Sami Zayn said is this has been in the works for over 9 months. So this was under Vinnie Mac. So H can take no fucking good, there's nothing that H can take responsibility for. The Uzi line was all Sami Zayn. Triple H never told Zayn to say Uzi and have it go over the way it did, or to have the Bloodline break character. No, this was all organic, and the seeds were planted under VKM. Their other top storyline is Bray Wyatt. We already know that's all of his creativity. That's not H's. H just has to sign off just like McMahon used to have to do, and that's how McMahon and Bray used to butt heads. Because Bray controls all of that shit, as he should. He's a masterpiece genius when it comes to pro wrestling. My point is, the big storylines here, you can't even give H credit for. We're waiting for the mid-card to really mean something. The tag division, the women's tag division. We're waiting for all of that. And it's just not happening. The men's tag division is still fucking... It's meaningless at this point. Thank goodness for the Usos. Because it's weird shit where people like Matt Riddle and Elias are getting title shots. They're not even a real tag team. Just 2 weeks ago, Elias was like, what are you even doing in my shit? And all of a sudden, boop. Less than 2 weeks later, you're in a tag team title match. In fact, Elias gets beat up before, and they're just like, hey, does anybody want to get a title tonight? Kevin Owens, come on down. Owens just like, on his way to catering, he sees that there's a title opportunity. He's like, oh, fuck. Let me eat my fucking egg salad and my triple layered mousse cake, and then I'll go earn a title. Or win a title. I mean, it's weird as fuck. The mid-card? What the fuck are they doing, man? We've been watching Austin Theory. Doesn't matter if he's carrying a cell phone or if it's the new Austin Theory where he's just throwing more of a temper tantrum. He's a meanie these days. Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, for the last half a year plus, have been fucking battling each other every single fucking week. One-on-one, triple threats, any variation. Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory have faced each other 1,000 fucking times already. Literally at SummerSlam. Literally at Money in the Bank, on Monday Night Raws, even on SmackDown, Theory has taken on Lashley. Rollins and Theory, 617 times they faced each other one-on-one. You can't make this up. Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley, 27 times. There's nothing more we need to see. This is not a storyline, right? Oh, but you say, man, it's long-term storytelling. No, this is redundancy. They faced each other 1,000 times. It's not a storyline. Lashley looks like an idiot every week he goes out there because it looks like he doesn't know what he's even doing. Because booking-wise, they're not controlling him in one way or another. He's going out there just to beat up people one week. The next week, no, I want the title. The next week, he's just beating people up again. The next week, no, I'm back into the title picture. What are you doing, bro? And the whole time, he can't even win the son of a bitch. It's either Rollins for a while, then it goes to Theory, then he's gonna have to win a number one contenders match next week. He's gonna have to beat Rollins just to go to the same fucking match with Theory that we've seen 1,000 times. That makes zero sense, by the way. Lashley has to earn another fucking title match when Ali, who's been on a losing streak, earns a title match out of the fucking blue. Thin air. Ali is going for the title this past Monday night. Nobody stops and thinks these are the reasons why Monday Night Raw is crashing and burning and needs to be imploded from within. Nobody thinks this is a problem. Ali on a losing streak gets a fucking title match like that. Oh, you've lost 100 matches in a row. You look like a total fucking idiot every single week. You just earned a title match. And he gets a title match. Meanwhile, fucking Rollins and Lashley again have to face each other just to get another rematch with Theory. How many matches do we have to see over and over and over and over and over before your audience is going to walk away because we've already seen it? Do you understand what I'm saying, man? If you guys are enjoying it, fine. That's good for you. You cannot be shocked that the audience is dwindling. In fact, this week we've seen a mass exodus. You can't be shocked, man. We're seeing the same shit every week. And even worse, it doesn't even make sense that Ali just gets a title shot for losing all the time. And these two are going for another fucking opportunity to get the same fucking title that they've already had 1,000 shots at. Tag teams being thrown together a week ago like Elias and Riddle to go for tag titles. What happened to fucking working your way through a division, earning that shit, and then jumping into a storyline with the champions where it's meaningful? None of it. You got none of it, guys. Triple H did not move the fucking needle at all because he hasn't even given an ounce of care. And then people go, well, it's going to take time, basically. It's going to take time. No, this is the shit that you need to change on day one. Fuck bringing everybody back. You already have a full roster. As time goes on, you can bring back Mia if you want. You can bring back Tegan Nox. You can bring back Sarah Logan. You can bring back Dexter. My boy, Johnny Gargano. No doubt. In time. Focus on what you have now and how you can make your already bloated roster, how you can make everybody relevant. No, he just wanted to play the ego game. I'm going to bring everybody back. And then what? The bigger problems are still there. For 5 fucking months, the changes that he's made is bring more people back, have more of a bloated roster. The formula is still the same. Same fucking formula. I still know exactly when they're going to commercial break, right? You got the suicide dive or somebody does a big move off the turnbuckle on the 10 people down below. It's a big ooh-ah moment, and we know we're going to commercial break. I still know exactly when 2 people are wrestling for a couple of minutes and then other people interfere. I know that when we come back from commercial, all of those people are now going to be in a clusterfuck schmaz match. It's the same formula. A little bit more brawls for H. I'll take that, right? But that's it. The biggest storylines, the Bloodline and Sami Zayn and Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, Sami Zayn has already said that was already implemented with him in the Bloodline, and that story arc was already implemented many, many, many months ago. Nearly a year ago, which would be under VKM, and Bray Wyatt controls all of his shit. Just needs to be signed off. So you can't even give him you can't give 3H's the credit for that shit. So he just has to now focus on the mid-card and the tag divisions and shit like that. The formula. And nothing has changed in 5 months. I haven't even began to see it. A few more brawls. Some matches got a little bit more time. Okay. It's a different product than McMahon. No question. No question. But the biggest fucking problems have not even been began to take place for change. Not even began. The change has not even started. That's what we're trying to say. It's not, it's going to take a year, BC. It's going to take 2 years. It's going to take a little more than a couple months. Okay, well, we're 5 months now. And at 7, 8 months, you're going to say, we just need a full year, BC. And then after a year, you're going to say, we need 2 because Vince, he's correcting so many of Vince's wrongs. Guys, after 5 months, you want to be progressing. You don't want to be going backwards. Vince McMahon's Monday Night Raw numbers are actually better than 3H's. 3H's is about to dip into the 1.4s, never before seen in professional wrestling for Monday Night Raw anyway, for WWE. That's where we're going. He's going backwards, guys, and there's a reason. If you would just listen. If he was making changes and it's going to take time, okay. You're progressing, though, right? You're getting a little better here. You're getting better. Formula is changing. You're starting to feel many differences, not just a few, right? No, you're having a poker game throughout the night, which I'm okay with if it leads to something big that's going to captivate us and leave us on the edge of our seat at the end of the night. No, instead, we keep going back to a poker game, and at the end of the night, it leads to a Tozawa versus, I've already forgotten. Who was it? Tozawa and Dominic Mysterio match. And then a 6-man match with the OC, Baron Corbin, and Alpha Academy. That whole fucking poker shit was for JBL to yell 1,000 times, no fighting in here. Take it to the ring to get us those 2 matches. weird title matches like fucking Ali on a losing streak getting another US, and then you wonder why people don't look at the US title like it's a legit fucking prestigious title anymore. Because H has made it a fucking joke just like McMahon had. Tag titles, pointless at this point. Thank goodness the Usos do have them. So I don't totally fall asleep on it. The show sucks. Monday nights suck. And we just have to be honest. And what's really cool, the one bright spot in having such a horrible number this week, the worst in show history, hour number 3, pulled the worst hour in show history at a 1.2 plus. The best part is that even the people that were denying that it's so bad, denying that it sucks, those people are finally starting to go, BC, I doubted you. I didn't like you for a while. I gotta come here and say, you were right, dude. You called it. I just didn't want to believe it. Even though I enjoy some of the stuff, I now have to see that a lot of people are not. A lot of people are leaving and not tuning in for a reason. I no longer can blame Monday Night Football. I no longer can blame a holiday. I no longer can blame my birthday. I can no longer blame National Donut Day. I can't blame any of that. It's just not. It's not captivating people. There's no cliffhangers. There's no reason at the start of the show to want to watch 3 hours of this show. BC, you were right. And it's not for a pat on the back. It's just so cool to see people wake up and say, hey, if you truly love professional wrestling, now's the time. It's been the time. But it's better late than never. Now's the time to stand up and voice your displeasure. Voice that this shit needs to get better. You gave 3H's 5 months already, and this is where we're moving backwards. The small changes in 5 months, they're just not good enough. Change takes time, no question. I agree. What we have gotten so far is showing all of us that he does not understand the true change that needs to be implemented. That's the problem. It's the same redundancy. It's the same formulaic garbage. It's the same format. Slightly, and I mean just a little bit altered. Enough, just enough. It's like giving a kid a little piece of the candy bar just to shut him up. We got rid of the 24/7 title. We brought back some of the people that were fired. Some people got their names back. There's more brawls. These matches have a little bit more time. Right, every couple of weeks you get a little bit more nugget of like, oh, this is real change. And then you wonder at the end of the 3 hours, you're like, well, this isn't that fucking good, actually. The show as a whole still feels like it's nothing that you must see. It's nothing worth watching for 3 hours. And you get those people that still, there is still some out there that go, I don't understand why people care about ratings. It's hilarious to see fans talk this deeply about ratings. Are you fucking kidding me? Ratings tell you exactly why your favorite show is no longer on the air. Do you realize if Rampage loses another 60,000 viewers, 61,000, they will now be in the 200,000s and they will have to be canceled. Do you understand that? Because you can at that point just do reruns of like shows like Law and Order or NCIS, CSI, Bones. You can literally put in hour-long drama reruns that can garner you 100 to 200,000 viewers and save you a lot of money. Right? That's why. If you're going to tune in on a Friday night at 10 to see Rampage, in 1 week it's gone. It's gone. Boop. They reached their end of the TV deal and they decided not to renew. You're not shocked because you were in the know. You were knowledgeable as to why the show got removed from existence. Because ratings matter. Right? It's why Tony Khan is right there every Thursday morning, right there to see the numbers for Dynamite. And when they're good, he puts it right on social, thanking everybody. It's why promoters, owners still look at the ratings like that, because they're the only metric that tells us what is working and what is not, what is good and what is bad. It doesn't matter if you like something or not. That's an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they're usually full of shit. But when you have facts, That's what numbers give us. Statistics, ratings, metrics, facts. You can really see what is working and what is not, what people love and what they don't, by if they walk away, if they flick the channel or not, or if they put the remote control down. Ratings matter because it's why shows are either on the air or they're not on the air. I hope you understand that. I don't get, they're befuddled that people talk so vividly about ratings. I'm befuddled at the idiots that don't understand why ratings matter in 2022 just as much as they did back in the day. They absolutely do. Nowadays, they look at demos more, 18 to 49, for instance, for pro wrestling and sports, or entertainment of the such. 18 to 49 is the key demo, but so some metrics have taken on a bigger role within the rating system, but it's still the defining metric as to why a show sticks around or not. And WWE Raw is going backwards, man. They just hit the low end of 1.5. If they don't bounce back into at least a 1.6, try to get back to a 1.7 bare minimum, you're talking about a 1.3, 1.4, guys. They're going to enter what AEW has already garnered. They've already hit between 1.2 and 1.4 in the past. And they've only been around a few years. Raw's been around for decades, and they're fucking going down the back. They're going the wrong way toward 1 million viewers. AEW is fucking around with 1 million. They suffered a fucking horrible couple of weeks too, man. They can't even hit 900,000 in the past 2 weeks. Everybody's seen the climax of MJF, and then it's like, that was everything, man. Tony Khan has to also get storylines that are keeping fans at the edge of their seat. Really jump into this shit full throttle. Have fun with the building of these characters. Have fun with the storylines. Have fun in what you are producing. Remember, you get to have the most fun in the world. You're producing a 2-hour wrestling show on Wednesday nights. If you're Raw 3 hours, you should be having fun. I always tell the story. Vince McMahon, Vince Russo, Ed Ferreira. They get around Vince McMahon's pool up in Stamford, Connecticut. Vince would be throwing people in the pool. They'd be having Linda fire up the fucking the stakes, whatever the fuck, while they're all just brainstorming stupid shit. Fun shit, though. You know, they're just having a good time while they think of Monday Night Raw and what can we do? How can we make this fun and epic? And we got fucking what we got during that Attitude Era. And I just feel like everyone stopped having fun. The wrestlers, the suits and ties, the promoters are not really having fun anymore. And the fans are certainly not having fun watching the trash. That's the biggest thing. There's just no fun watching these shows. It's like a chore to get through. And then it's always funny to see those people like, oh, if you just don't like it, don't watch it. Like, if you claim you don't like anything, then why are you even watching it? Because we love this. How many times do I got to say I'm a big Green Bay Packer fan? Do you know the season that we're having right now? One of the worst teams in the league. And I'm not even talking just record-wise, right? Because there's worse teams than 5-8. But we're just bad. Like, offensive, defensive, special teams. I'm surprised we can even kick a field goal from 10 yards out. Honestly, that's shocking with this team. But of course, I'm not going to stop watching my Packers. I'm there at the highs. I'm right there with the lows. I'm always screaming out and cheering them, and I'm going to scream out vocally with my displeasure, right? It's our job as the fans to let the GMs, the powers that be, know exactly what needs to be fixed. Because we see it. It's not rocket science, right? The GMs and the suit and ties, they fix the shit that we can't see. Okay. But when it's on the field, we're telling you exactly what the fuck needs to be changed. That's not rocket science. My Yankees can't win a fucking World Series if our life depends on it. I'm not going to just stop watching them just because they're no longer winning World Series, right? I was there in 2009 when we held up that fucking trophy, and I've been there every year since when we completely shit the bed because I'm a fan of it, and I'm not going to just jump off the ship because it's going down. I'm going to try to save that son of a bitch. I'm going to try to keep that ship above water. And if it goes down, going down with it. It's a fan's responsibility to say when something is just not right with the organization, in this case, the company. My New York Knicks, they've been bad for what seems like 100 years. Not the case, obviously. I was there for the Patrick Ewing, John Starks era, Allen Houston, Those are some fun days. We didn't win a championship, but we were at least competitive and good. The past, 10 to 15 years, many question marks as to how we're even competing in the NBA. But I never stopped being there and voicing out that displeasure and trying to help. Professional wrestling. Now because some dipshits say, well, if you don't like it, don't watch. I'm just going to leave professional wrestling and as a fan just call it a day, hang it up because I don't enjoy it? No. Because I don't like the results, what we're getting. I know all the shit that needs to be changed and it's not even being addressed by the powers that be. No, that's not acceptable. That's unacceptable. And instead of not watching, I'm going to continue to watch very vividly and speak up and speak out about the bullshit that we are viewing. And it is clear I've been right all along. Much of my amplified unit has been right all along. They're going backwards. 3H's was not the savior everybody thought. 3H's was going to make minor changes. Hopefully, if he hears the words that we are now echoing throughout the wrestling world, hopefully 3H's will understand the true change that needs to take place, and hopefully he'll do it so we can start talking positively going forward. Tony Khan, storylines. Don't just book for yourself. Tony Khan is like the rich kid who is bought a promotion so he can use the wrestlers like they're real-life action figures, and he's just putting on the matches that he likes. Not giving a fuck about what we could be getting, should be getting. Epic television, captivating, edge of our seat. It's been a rough week for pro wrestling, but it's been a rough year, 5 years, and 10 years. And every time we think there's some change on the horizon, something good really happens, there's no momentum that carries out. They trash it. Now, I have two things. That would need to be changed right from the jump. If it's BC, that I would request. And before I even get to the redundancy, the formula that needs to be changed, the formatting that needs to be changed, Monday Night Raw just needs to be imploded from within. Dynamite just needs several factors implemented to it. Rampage needs to be totally fucking gone or just blow it up, start over. Rampage is done, unfortunately. SmackDown, when it's on Fox, that's been carrying WWE. Has it been good consistently? Eye of the beholder. Decent at least. But how much longer can SmackDown hold the company? I question that. But before we even talk about formula, formatting, redundancy, all of that, two things that need to be changed from the jump is the talent and the fans. All of us. Talent and the fans. Let's start with what are you talking about, BC? So let's start with the talent. The talent exposes themselves more than anybody in the wrestling world. There's no journalist, there's no reporter, there's no fans, there's no social media, there's nothing that exposes the pro wrestlers more than themselves, right? They are revealing their magic tricks more than anybody else. And then you wonder why people can't really get captivated by what they're viewing, because after they see a really cool segment, maybe 20 minutes later, the character they just saw in that cool segment is exposing all the tricks, right? I mean, we've seen it so many times over the years, man. When you break kayfabe completely, right? Kayfabe, people say, is dead and gone in 2022. It's been dead and gone. But the truth is, not necessarily. It has not been. It's not gone. Is it on life support? No question. But kayfabe, there's always a portion of kayfabe has to remain alive for pro wrestling to stay alive. The moment that kayfabe is definitely gone, like it's dead and gone, professional wrestling is no longer in existence. You have to have some level of kayfabe. You have to have your audience believe in some realm of what they're viewing. This can't just be a 30-minute comedy sitcom. This can't just be an hour-long drama even. This is professional wrestling. It's unlike anything else in the world. Kayfabe has to remain alive. Some semblance of it, even if it's just a few slivers. Kayfabe always has to stay alive. The wrestlers are making it so hard for us to really give a fuck about any of these segments or stories that do form. I know that's very few and far in between. But when a storyline does spring up, the wrestlers are ruining it. I remember back when Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman were in a heated feud, and they went overseas or they were in another country and they were sightseeing. And a bus brought all the wrestlers. And there was Roman and Braun in pictures together, enjoying all the sights and sounds of the country they were in. And some people honestly were like, basically, man, it's their time off. They're just sightseeing. It's no everyone knows it. They use the F word. Everyone knows it's fake, basically. It's okay. And then we're supposed to watch that weekend them in a pay-per-view, high stakes, full throttle feud match. Maybe that was like their ambulance match or some shit. But I mean, I'm watching them fucking hugging each other and smiling and taking photos off the bridge. And then I gotta fucking remind myself that, oh man, I can't wait to see this match. Man, they can't stand one another. Look at how they're smiling. Oh man, that's sightseeing. I'm surprised one of them just doesn't fucking powerbomb the other straight off the fucking bridge. I'm like, why would you do that, man? You know, if you want to sightsee, okay, but make sure you know that nobody stay away, fucking. You know, I'm not saying you got to go to the lengths that they did back in the day, but fuck, at least they cared. I always tell the story about Ric Flair, and so many, I just use Ric Flair because he says it so many interviews, how they would travel, guys, not even in the different cars, they would stay in different hotels and many times, different cities, because they really wanted to sell you that this was legit, this beef is real, and you're not going to catch them together over a meal or sightseeing or having some laughs in a local Starbucks or whatever the coffee shops were back in the day. No, they would stay in different cities. Nowadays, they're on the same tour bus going sightseeing, having fucking jollies around pizza and coffee. And there's fans that have no problem. It's okay, baby, because they don't care. Those are the casual fans. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They're going to tune in no matter what because they had a long day, and you can give them anything. Give them 3 hours of the 24/7 Crusaders, the catering Crusaders chasing the fucking toy championship, and they'll be happy with it. Give them 3 hours of JBL's poker session. They'll be happy with it. Why is everyone complaining? This show is amazing. AEW. Man, you really believe that Eddie Kingston has this real beef with Claudio. Even if you know their past, you know they're buddies or whatever. Man, the way that Eddie talks about Claudio, it's fun. And you know when they take on each other, that storyline, oh, it's going to be so much fun. They've had a few run-ins already. And you see them, a referee post a picture one day of them just at dinner. Claudio, big smile, arm around the ref. Eddie with his arm around the ref. They're all smiling at dinner. There's Eddie, there's Claudio. And the ref is like, having a grand time, or whatever the fuck the caption was. I was mortified. I'm like, wait, man, Eddie's talking so much awesome trash about Claudio. In the ring, online, and all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, this is us at dinner. We're just taking a few minutes. We're just killing kayfabe for a sec, just to show you our dinner. Nobody needs to see you at dinner, bro. How does the referee not know that we don't want to see them together? And how does Claudio not say, dude, take that picture, or Eddie Kingston? And there's people that go, oh, basically, they're human beings, man. They eat dinner. And it's a social media world. They're just going to post the dinner and show everyone that they're sharing laughs. And then that Wednesday, we're supposed to hear Eddie Kingston talk shit about Claudio again and just just believe it again. And I'm supposed to just get the image out. Like, why even break kayfabe to the point where you're just stomping on it, pissing on it, and waiting for its time of death for kayfabe? But why even do that, man? Saraya Page recently talking to Renee Paquette on her podcast, saying like, "Oh, I wish on my debut speech when I got to AEW that I didn't say the line about my boss not listening. I meant Vince. It wasn't for Triple H. I wish I could take that back. A lot of people didn't understand it." And then she literally says, I hope they just understand. I'm playing a character, and I got caught up in the character, and I probably shouldn't have said that. Saraya, we don't need that. We wanted to know that you're fierce. You came there on a mission. It doesn't matter if it's 3H's, Vince McMahon. You can give them a little bit of a fucking shot. But to go on a podcast afterwards and just be like, oh, I wish I didn't say that. I'm just playing a character. You know, Renee. And now and then the next week, we're supposed to believe this high stakes battle between Britt Baker and Saraya. It's like, why do that? Ronda Rousey Look, so Ronda Rousey, just within the last 24 hours, guys. You know the botch? The DDT botch with her and Liv Morgan? Morgan was supposed to really lay into her, and Ronda botched that. And I love Ronda Rousey, but just leave it at that, man. Damage is done. Get better. Make sure it don't happen again. This is what she says. This was a quote by Ronda Rousey about that botch. I actually pitched that spot because I love that she does that. She says, we couldn't practice in my ring because my ropes were too loose. And then we couldn't practice it when we got to the arena because there were these big cages. It's the first time that I ever did it. I was really concerned with Shotzi, not Liv Morgan, guys. Shotzi, not Liv. I still got their matches fresh in my dome piece. That shows you how forgettable, unfortunately, Shotzi and Rousey is, by the way. But Shotzi's DDT on the apron that Ronda botched. So she says, it's the first time I ever did it. I was really concerned with keeping Shotzi safe, and I made it look bad. We don't need to know how many times you practiced it or tried to practice it. We don't need to know that you went out of your way to save or make sure that she was so safe when storyline-wise you're trying to break her fucking arm every week. This is what I'm saying, guys. The wrestlers themselves are not helping themselves or the business. The wrestlers need to keep kayfabe semi, even if it's just a little bit. They need to keep kayfabe alive and make sure that it doesn't completely die. You have to keep it alive, man. If they don't give a fuck about what their performances are and what they're doing, to honor it enough, not to go on social and just blow up your whole fucking performance. Talk about what a farce it all is. If they're not willing to show that level of care and resistance and putting everything out there for social, then how is the audience going to believe in that shit or care? We're not going to, and that's why people are leaving in droves. Mass exodus. These are just some examples, guys. You guys probably have hundreds of scenarios where these wrestlers just break kayfabe left and right on social just because they want to post. They're bored, and they're just going to expose all the tricks and remind you how fake it all is. And I hate that word, but they want to remind you 24/7. That's why I love people like MJF, who literally says time and time again, this is not a character. This is me. Stop with the character bullshit. This is Maxwell. He'll flip you off at an autograph session. He'll tell you to fuck off if you try to say hi to him in a coffee shop. It's not just on TV. And on his social, you're going to get that Maxwell. Bray Wyatt, for the most part, usually always in character. Maybe a time or two, he'll go off a little bit, but he won't expose himself like that. Or expose what he's doing with the creativity that he's entered into. Bray Wyatt, MJF, and maybe you guys have some other individuals that really keep it real for what they're doing in the realm of wrestling on their social as well, and they don't expose what they're doing in the wrestling realm. Maybe you guys got people that you can name that are like MJF and Bray Wyatt that just bring that sense of they're going to honor their work by keeping it alive and keeping kayfabe alive. Whatever is left of kayfabe, keep it alive. It's like a candle, right? And it's withering away. And at the very end, you think it's going to be... You ever see a candle wither down, man? You think that it's going to die any second, but it can last a while. A candle at the very end of its lifeline can last a while. And it's almost... It's there, right? It's at the end, but it won't wither away completely. No matter how much they try to fucking shit on this candle, piss on this candle, the candle stays alive. Some wrestlers like MJF, Bray Wyatt, and others, they're trying to keep that candle flaming. Others are trying to piss on it. So that's one of two big things that needs to change now, yesterday, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Wrestlers, just because you have 140 characters, you can take them, shine them up real nice, and shove them straight up. All right, I'm not going to go there, but you guys know the rest. It's the wrestler's responsibility to keep kayfabe semi-alive at the bare minimum. Otherwise, we have no reason to believe any of the shit that we're watching or care about it. And then the fans. The fans are also responsible for these numbers, for the state of pro wrestling. And you guys know the fans that I'm talking about. It's the ones that show up to these arenas just to chant all their chants. They honestly don't even give a fuck who's on the card. They're just going to watch a night of action. And you have the fans that say, well, what's the problem, BC, man? They just want to get out of the house. They're paying their hard-earned money, and they can chant whatever they want. No doubt. You're exactly correct. Absolutely. No argument there. That doesn't mean that they're not helping to hurt professional wrestling. When they show up, they don't give a fuck who's in the ring. They can't wait for the first good, semi-good sequence so they can start yelling out, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" Right? First decent sequence. And you know this because I've been hearing it now more than ever. Literally, at a point where it's a dull match and they have one good semi-decent sequence, you'll start to hear some fans. You can tell by the tone of the voice. It's usually like kids. You know, but you can hear like little specks of "this is awesome," and nobody kicks on, right? All the other adults are like, "No, stop." Like even they know, like, no, that we're not chanting it now. Are you kidding me? But you could hear like "this is awesome." They just could not wait to show up to yell that out. Of course, you've heard me say a million times, it totally devalues the actual chant itself that we used to chant for matches like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25 and such. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso, matches like that where we're like in awe. No, completely fucking destroys that. Now not even match, just good sequences gets "this is awesome," right? If you have several sequences together that are good or semi-good, you get "fight forever." If you do a new, innovative flippity-doo-dah dive, you'll get "holy shit, holy shit." Right? We show up just to yell our chants. And then afterwards, you complain about people like BC that are too negative and too harshly critiquing the shows. Why? If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's amazing. It's good. You just never are satisfied. When there's a reason you're not watching WWE on YouTube. There's a reason you're not watching WWE on Peacock. You're watching people like BC Amplified. It's because you know, A, I'm more entertaining than the fucking shows, sadly. And B, I'm dropping one knowledgeable fact after another knowledgeable fact after another knowledgeable fact. There's a reason that you're watching BC and not WWE replays or reruns on YouTube or Peacock. If only you were critiquing and complaining about the fucking show and not other podcasters, the state of pro wrestling would be in a much better flux right now. Not in flux. It would be out of flux. It would be in the realm of fucking decent. But no. Too many fans have lied to themselves for too long. The product is fine. People just like to complain, which is also true, by the way, especially when everybody has 140 characters. But if you're honestly saying that these shows are good as a whole, you're literally lying to nobody else but yourself. And it's gotten to the point where the ratings are getting so low across the board for any promotion, any and every promotion, that you can't even lie to yourself anymore. And that's why a lot of people are finally saying, damn, BC was right. Like, we have to start calling if we want a pro wrestling, if we want there to be a WWE Raw in 5 years, we got to start speaking up. This is not acceptable. I mean, maybe there's fans that literally think this is the top of the bar and like this is acceptable, right? I guess younger fans who never really got to see golden eras like the 80s and late 90s and into the early 2000s, maybe this is just all acceptable to them because it's all they know. But for us, our bar is higher because we know what should be happening, what we should be getting, what they're capable of, what we need, what should be existing. And it's nowhere near that. So our bar is not going to be lowered so we can cater to those type of fans. We're going to keep it high, and we're going to hope that those fans understand as they get older, hopefully, that they should be getting more and that they need to stand up and start being better. Better fans. Because when it was all said and done, it wasn't people like BC that were the shit fans. It was the people that were chanting, "This is awesome," for every fucking sequence. Oh, how the tables have turned. It was not the BCs. It was those fans that were hurting pro wrestling more than anything. And how we know? Because the facts are in. Here we are, about to end another year, 2022. And the ratings are the worst ever. But I thought this is awesome. I mean, this is what I hear several times every single show. This is awesome. And then the ratings drip lower and lower and lower. And then every week it's like, this is awesome. And they go lower. I thought it was awesome. If it's awesome, wouldn't the ratings be going the other way? Wouldn't there not be a mass exodus of people into the thousands leaving every single week? I think those people are finally finding out it was nowhere near awesome. Kayfabe, the talent needs to make sure that there is a semblance. The last flicker of hope in kayfabe, in that kayfabe candle, does not flicker out completely. The talent needs to step the fuck up and be more responsible. The fans need to step the fuck up and be more honest. That's where I start. Before I even get into the shows themselves, what needs to change is the talent and the fans. Because we all can do fucking better than what we've been doing the last 10 years. I'm sure in the future. Unfortunately, the way the numbers are going, in the near future, we're going to have another State of the Wrestling World address. And that one may even be more harsh. And maybe in the near future, I can go over formula changes, formatting changes, the redundancy problems. We can really jump into that. So we can help 3Hs, help Tony Khan, help anybody with a promotion that needs to and wants to get better. We can help. But if we're just going to act like everything is hunky-dory because WWE, for instance, is making all this money because of Saudi, right? There's going to come a time where all these countries are not going to give you $50 million a show because your shows are going to suck for so long. I doubt very much Saudi will ever give them another big deal like this. And I doubt very much they're going to get another $1 billion plus TV deal if the numbers keep the dwindling. They're not going to get the number like they got from Fox. USA Network surely will not give them another big-time deal if they start echoing the 1 million mark every week. So yeah, they're sitting high on these big deals that Vince McMahon was able to land them. That's going to dry up, and you're going to be left with a dwindled audience down to maybe 1 million of those type of fans that will just be there for any reasons. Because even the fans that tune in out of habit and hope like BC, a lot of them, they're already starting to leave. A lot of them have already left. So they can sit pretty financially right now. There's going to come a day where 3Hs is going to have to roll out of bed and go, I never thought about the actual future. Like, are we ever going to make this type of money again? Steph, can you come here? Are these numbers real? Are we really losing that many viewers every single year, every month? There's going to come a day where they're going to roll out of bed and go, oh, fuck. We better change everything. Pro wrestling has just suffered one of its worst weeks in recent memory. It's our time as fans to come together and help it. It's the wrestlers' jobs to come together and do better. I understand you get bored and you want to post everything 24 hours a day. Stop exposing the business. We don't need to know every single behind the scenes practice, rehearsal, what went into shit, what you should and shouldn't have said in a promo. We don't need to know all that. If we all do better, then we can put our focus where it needs to be. Then we can start really creating change on these shows. BC Amplified. This was a long one. A lot of true, real, hard-hitting discussion needs to be had, and will continue to be had for my tried and trues. I appreciate you, man, especially the ones that listen to every minute, every second of this vid. This is a very real type of heart-to-heart type conversation that needs to be said. It is sad. I've watched pro wrestling since I was basically out of the womb. And here we are decades later at the end of 2022. And I'm seeing basically the end of it. Will it truly ever be the end of pro wrestling? Probably not. I mean, shit, you'll at least get it in fucking bingo halls down the road or at some circus, the local town fair. I don't think it'll ever truly go out of existence, but wrestling as we once knew it, I don't know if we're ever going to get that back if we don't start making real change. It starts with all of us. BC Amplified. To my amplified unit, think, be, live, amplified always. Top guy, I am out. Till next time, BC saying check you.